Hi again everyone, it's Ben here from the Note Anytime team. This week we're going to be taking a look at how Note Anytime can make a difference in the classroom. And what I'm going to do is I'll break this session down into two little areas. First being how to create and maintain learning materials using Note Anytime. That's include workbooks and anything else that you want to create and then distribute. And then secondly, how to use Note Anytime from a student's perspective. So how to take better notes, how to reference during revision, how to import ebooks for annotation. So for this session I'm going to be using the iPad version of Note Anytime, but you can view our website at www.noteanytime.com for information about how to download the Android or Windows 8 versions, whatever it is that you're using, in addition to this universal iOS version, which is available from iTunes. So let's start by creating a workbook using Note Anytime. And I'll show you how to use the built-in paper templates. So we say create a note. So what we can do is here begin by taking a look at what we've got available here. And one of the first things that we might want to do is to create a workbook with a cover. So to do this we can quickly create a new note, as we've done, browse through the available models as I've just shown you, and then one of the things you might be thinking now if you're following along with this is that I don't have those particular covers or documents. To get these you may need to download them from the store, from the in-app store. They're free. To do that just swipe across to get a list, and within there you may see papers or other items. Obviously I've been downloading over the last few months, so I might be out of sync with what you've got. Open them up and then click the download button to actually to get those into your models. One thing there, you will need to have a digital cabinet account in order to do that, but that's free as well. So go back to these models. I'll pick the model titled Free and Rule, just for this example. So as you can see, we come into this, we've got a nice cover, nicely designed cover, and the first thing that we want to do here is to change the text on our title page. So if we open up our floating palette wheel, and what we're going to do is we're going to change the text. So we pick the text tool, click into the text area, and we will remove that title. And the title I'm going to add in today is Letters and Animals. Now the first thing that you will notice here is that we have exceeded the space that's available. So what we can do is position our box, and then using the come across from a different angle tool here, just drop down the text until it fits into the box. But we could draw and add other content such as images or hand draw onto this title page if we wanted to. So just as an example of this, let's add a space for a student to add their own name. One of the very powerful set of items in the library, in the items library, is the Shapes library. It's available for free download, so you may need to do what we talked about before. So let's go through this. We go to the Add from Library. Now, within my system here, you'll see the Shapes. You may need to go into the store and download the free Shapes library to get to this stage. It's very, very worth doing. It will save you a lot of time and effort of creating basic primitive shapes. And again, you would need to have the free digital cabinet service, which would also back these up for you, so you don't need to ever do them again. So under these download items now, we can see the shapes. So we'll pick a box shape. And as with everything, anytime we can just move, position, zoom with any of the shapes that we've got. So obviously we've now put a box on the screen. We also want to add some writing to instruct a student what the box is for. So I'll add the text this workbook belongs to. So let's just position down here. I won't do anything fancy here. This workbook So now that we've got this, we can move to the next page to actually create some work content. Let's set that to a full screen view. What you'll see is the bottom left of the page here is a small icon there that we can use to move to the next page. So now that we're on what is the first page of the document, 0 being the cover, you can see that it's got the ruled paper style that we picked as well, which was in the title. So what you may want to do here is just very quickly be able to add or remove pages. So I'll just go through that very quickly. First way to do this is we can say just add a new page to this document. You'll see now we're at page 2. It's increased to this workbook. And we can also change the paper style for any individual page or even all the pages in the notebook or the workbook in this case. So an example of this is where you may have added ruled pages because you're entering handwriting. You want to create a handwritten workbook and make it nice and neat. So use the lines as guides, but then you want to make the paper blank afterwards so that people can draw on it or whatever without having the extra information there. So to change the paper, we can go to the paper menu option and select paper. Select paper. There we go. And again, we now come into this, the item library, the models library, and we'll just change this page to be blank. So we've got a nice simple work page. What we'll say here is our goal is to create a connect the dots picture with a selection of animal names from which a student's going to match the name to the final image after they've connected the dots. So we say just blank and apply to the front page. So what we'll do here is we could create a connect the dots image manually if you've got the artistic talent to do that, but what I'm going to do is import a previously created one, which I've actually done in this case from Dropbox. I simply put it into Dropbox, opened it up into the iPad, and downloaded it into my camera roll or album. So what I can do now is import this into Note Anytime. So we can add the image. So we'll say here, add from photo or album, camera roll, and there's my previously imported image. And what we can do is reposition this on the page as we see fit. And what we'll do is we'll also add the animal names at the bottom here that we talked about. So we just add some names, and I'm already here, so let's say we're going to have, is it a bee? Is it a lion? Or is it a dog? As an example, obviously that's very rushed. Just one thing here as well is we can, on this image as it's imported, we can draw over it very easily. So I will, just for the sake of this, oops, I've already made a mistake, undo. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So now there's my connect the dots. What I also want to do here is there's a second option, and I'll show you why this is why I'm going through this, which is to import the image as a background for a paper. So what we'll do is we'll just add a new page. So we're now on page 3, and we're going to do exactly the same, but this time with the paper settings option. And what you'll see here is that we've got the ability to set the background of this page. So it's very useful if you're importing, that was an image of a line there, which I've just given away the answer. But this option is very useful if you've got a scanned or a photographed page from other course materials and you want to import it into your document as a page. So basically what we're going to do here on our new page, pick the background to be from the album, specify the image, as so. And what we'll do for the sake of this one here, we'll just say, I'll try send, oops, say done. And we'll just say we only want to apply this to the current page. I see that that's too big, so what we'll do is paper settings, go to the background, we'll fit paper size. It's already loaded, but just to show you again, say done, up to the current page. Now it fits into the page, and obviously if you've scanned an image in there now, that would be the the equivalent image of what you've got. So why, again, is that sort of important? Why would you not just want to import an image each time? Well, if I just quickly, it's quite a fun part of my day, getting to do these, fill in that particular item. Now what I want to do is, if I want to erase some of the lines using the eraser tool, that will work fine on both sides. However, if I want to use the select tool, so in this case here I want to get rid of everything in one go, I can pick my area and say remove, and I've removed all of the lines. However, if I go to the same, the image-based item and try and pick, you'll see that it's selected the entire image. So if I want to pick and remove the lines now, it becomes much more difficult to do so. I probably can move the image out of the way, pick the lines, and so on. However, for especially younger children, you may want to take that approach of putting it in as a background image. They can use all of the tools that are available without having to work around any of the problems there. So another thing here is we've sort of gone into the selection side now. One of the most powerful features to note anytime is its ability to register and reuse content multiple times across multiple documents. So what I'll do here, let's create a simple worksheet, just a page within this document. So if I say add page with paper, we'll create a nice grid page. Just an example there, you can just go straight in as a different paper. And we'll just take as an example some multiplication examples and questions. So pick a pen, 1 times 4 equals 2 times 4 equals, and so on. And what I might want to do now is take that selection, scale it to the right size of the page, reposition it. I might want to say copy and paste so that I can add more to the same page and just duplicate that way. What I also might want to do is register this selection so that I can copy it into other documents. If it's probably not this multiplication example, but it could be a particular item that you want to be able to reuse, a stamp or an example or something that you reuse a lot. And to do this, we can take the same approach. So select the text. In this case, we'll just use what we've got. Hold down, click on the More button, and you'll see an option there for registering an item. So if we do that, what we can do now is insert this item at any time into any document by using the item library, the same as we did for the shapes. So if we click on Add from Library, and if we go to the top, you'll see My Items, and you can see I've already done this previously as just an example. We can pick the one we just created, and it inserts into the document. We would reposition that wherever we want, and obviously you can still scale or reposition as needed. What we also might want to do here is we might want to say 5 pages of the workbook were with this same sequence of problems, so we want a bit of repetition there within the notebook. So we can do this as well with Note Anytime. Take a slightly different approach to this. So we go down to the page icon at the bottom. You'll see here there's a set of thumbnails of the different pages we've created. And if we hold down, we can pick copy, and if we hold down, we can pick paste. We've now duplicated the page as easily as that. If you wanted to do this in bulk, there's another option here, which is the select mode. And this you'll see has put small icons on here so that we can say copy and paste, and we've now duplicated 2 pages, and we could do that from any sequence that we want within the document. If you want to delete anything, so if you don't need that page, like we had a blank one here, hold down and remove, and there we go, click here to come back out again. So what we want to do now is we want to be able to distribute this and share this workbook with students. So what we can do is we can give this a title. Let's start here, and we'll call it just test workbook. Test workbooks. We'll just go with that. And then what we want to do here is we want to make this available as a new note when we create a new note. So what we'll do is we'll make this into a model, and to do this we want to go into our settings, note style, and then you'll see there we've got an option for my model, and if we switch that on and say done, come out, what we'll now have is test workbooks will be available as a new document. It's still, the original's still there and it can be changed, however we can use it as the starting point as it stands for new documents. One thing that I will mention very quickly, you'll see we're on page 6 there. It will remember the page that you're at in the model, so it's worthwhile resetting to the start, to the cover when you create a new note, just so people are starting at the beginning of the document. So one of the things that we're often asked is about how to organise work for students, and there's a number of ways of doing this, and different people have got different solutions to this that I would actually like as well to be able to share with others, and I'll talk about that at the end. But one way that it is quite easy to do this across multiple devices for your students, especially if they're sharing devices and not having the same one each time, is to create a folder structure into which you'll place individual worksheets. So each tablet will then sync this information across all of the tablets, so you can easily distribute backwards and forwards, and I'll show you how that works. So let's create a folder for me as an example. We'll call it Work Ben. To do that, we'll hold down the root folder and create a subfolder. Call it Work Ben. Say done. So now inside my folder, and we'll pick our sample workbook. So to do that, we simply create a note, scroll to the top, you see test workbooks, which is the one that I created, and unfortunately we have to toggle my model back on again to reset there, sorry, but you'll see it is a copy of the document that we had before, and is in a position to just be used. Personalise this, so it belongs to them. One of the things that we also can do there, you probably would want to do this for individual students, rather than leaving it as no title, we can change the title of this particular note. Oops. So the auto sync feature there had kicked in. So we can change the title here. Let's change it to Ben's work. You can put the date in there. Any of the other things that you might want to do as a naming convention for the work. Now you'll be able to pick that information up from your device whenever they've finished the work. It will automatically be syncing the information and backing it up for you. So you can move that around as you need. Next step really, I think, we'll move on to some of the ways that Note Anytime can be used for capturing revision notes, and for generally from a student's perspective how we can use it. Okay, so we'll start by importing a PDF, and I'll take a sample that I've put into Dropbox here. So that's this one here, and this is just something that I've taken that was I thought quite relevant. You should be able to see the sort of title things there if you want to go and find this yourself and have a read. It looks very interesting. What I really wanted to show here is how we can work with this particular document. So what we can begin by doing here is to open in. So we use this top right hand icon here, the sort of download icon, and we say we want to open that in Note anytime. And what we get an option to do here is to add space around the document. So if, for example, you want to be able to annotate and the document doesn't have that ability, it's a brochure maybe or something like that, then this is a very easy way to be able to reposition your document. Similarly, if you're importing and it's rotated from scan, for example, then you can correct that at this stage. So we'll import it in the normal portrait mode. What we'll do is I just want to move across to a page with some more information in there. So, for example, we'll take this document here. So, what I'm trying to do, this is obviously just a document, but this should be seen as course materials. So, ebooks, for your paper books that you would normally be buying, but you're able now to use these for your revision. So we'll begin by showing just how you can annotate a particular section of the PDF. So we'll begin by using the pen tools here, and what you'll see, something quite often asked is how to highlight, how to actually annotate these PDF documents. And the simplest way to do this is to set up a pen with an opacity level, which is, I usually use around this sort of 75 to 80% opacity mark. And what that'll have the effect of doing is a highlighter that you can use but still see through to the text underneath. Now, one thing you might want to do is to make that, from size wise, to be bigger. So we can simply zoom in like that and highlight, or we might want to say this particular section here, we strongly agree. So that's how we can use highlighting within this. As with anything in Note Anytime, we can delete away the bits that we don't want. We can also select those annotations. For example, here, remove them. Or we might say, well, we didn't mean that one, we meant this one, which obviously you wouldn't be able to do with a normal annotation, pixel-based annotation approach. The other side of this is taking notes. So a couple of easy ways of doing this. General note-taking. So we might put in a little bit of an annotation over the top. Obviously these can be removed afterwards, so you may put them in just as a task. So as you flick through initially, looking for the sections that are of interest, we might say that on this particular document, we have a few points at the bottom here, and we want to come back to those later. So you might use what we can do here is say, that's not very easy to see, so we'll change the style to be a bit thicker, use a black pen, a bit of opacity, just to highlight what we've got. When we've actually read that, or when we're ready to read it, we can simply remove that away again. So it's a very easy way of dynamically annotating. Obviously, if this was a paper document, you would be destroying the content of that document, whereas this way you're able to keep coming back, remove what you don't want anymore. One of the sort of ideas here that you're probably seeing is that you can mix text and handwriting and other sorts of content together, and it's no different with this. If I want to emulate a post-it note sort of an approach, I can simply add a new text window here. I'll position that and say, again, we'll just put in something very simple, read this. Now that's quite difficult obviously to see, it's mixed in with all the rest of the text, but But if I go to the text unit style, we can start to make it a little bit more readable. So I might say I want it to be, again, slightly opaque, transparent, and I'll just say done for this. And that's almost now emulating a post-it note style, so that we can, and again, click again to add more notes. But that post-it note style can be moved around, can be positioned, can have more notes added into it, it can be annotated as you need to have. And whenever you're ready, you can either move it out of the way. We might say that we want to keep the content, but just stick it down out of the way. Just keep scrolling it down, and then that's still the same. We can recover it at any time as we need. So, in addition to the ebook annotation, one thing that you might be doing is taking notes during a lecture as handwriting or as typed text. These in themselves are not too difficult. So what I'll do, I'll just create a note here just to show as I'm talking. To do in Note Anytime. So if I take a blank page, handwritten notes, we've got a quick guide at the bottom right here, which will allow you to take handwritten notes, as they're being written, in any pen, as it would seem here as well. And we can just keep typing into this, and taking notes. And then whenever we're finished with a particular section, we can grab that, scale it away, move it, store it. We can also mix up handwriting. So we could take a section here and we could say I'm going to be taking my notes and just type as normal. And so on. Another area that's quite of interest to people is that we could be talking about a web page. So we'll just take this Google web page for now, say done. And you'll see it's captured now a picture into the app, and what we can do is even edit that particular image. Say, for an example, we were using a Google logo as they've created it as a example of design or something like that. Images you've already seen us adding. Now the benefit of Note Anytime with this content is not only can it all be added in, it can be mashed up in terms of your note taking. So for example, we might start to create a flow through of data. We might then say, well, we've got a point here that we want to make, and we could scale into this area, pick a pen, make it a little bit smaller, take some more notes. Obviously I'm just creating any type of drawing here that you might want to take as an example, and then keep going. So we can say, here was a graph that we had that was mentioned. What was it about? Little important point here is that it was 2009, and so on. Now if we zoom back out again on this document, you'll see that all of this information is in one single page. And this is one of the real powers from a revision perspective of Note Anytime. Because if I now come along and want to add more content to this page, I don't have to create a new page and split up my thought process or whatever it is. Let's say I want to go to the top left here. I've got more information that needs to spark out from this. I can simply take all of my information, sorry, strange angle there. Scale this down, put it here, zoom in, and what I'll do is I'll start to create something up here. Again, we can zoom in, add some information here, a couple of points we might be making, and then if I wanted to add add anything that I have here, zoom out, and you can see here that we've got this content now as we need it. And then similarly again, we could just say we're finished now, so we want to rescale it and reposition it here. So the next part of this would be how to get the information back out again when you've finished, and how to jump to the information that you've got in a sort of more structured way, so that you can basically revise from a single page of a document. So one of the ways to do this is to use what we call the jump feature. If I click down here, we can see there's a small tab that says jump, and what this allows us to do is in a complex document, or a busy document, however you want to describe it, this allows us to take snapshots of a position. So we could say that that's something of interest that we will be wanting to come back to. Similarly, this one down here, we want it at that view, and then that particular chart, that view is also something that we want. And what the jump feature will allow us to do is, we've now captured those key points, we can click on the thumbnails to easily move around the document to wherever we need to go, and then obviously zoom back out again and start to follow the rest of the document around. The other part that I mentioned there was how to get this information back out again. So it has a number of ways of working with information or with your documents in Note Anytime. Probably the first here is to send by email. So you could email this to yourself as a PDF, or to your colleagues, or to somebody else who's maybe missed the note and needs to get a copy of them from you. And you could do that either by sending them the Note Anytime document. Obviously the software's free, so there's no, if they have a tablet, there's no reason why they shouldn't just get the software, and then they can edit and zoom and so on. If they don't, or if you want to move it onto maybe a Mac or something like that, then you would just be able to export as a PDF. If it's something like a chart that you build, you might want to export it as an image, so that other people can then include that into their own documents. So you can see those sorts of things. One of the other options is you may want to send it to, again as a document here, into Dropbox, into Evernote, into some other application. Sorry, wrong one. And if you're creating something that is going to be sent through something like Facebook, or you want to blog the information that you're creating for people to be able to share, those options are there as well. You can go to Tumblr, send it to Facebook or to Twitter, and it will allow you to attach an image of your particular document at that stage. Like so. So anyway, I think we've run out of time here. I really appreciate you joining us today, and if you have any questions at all, my details should be on the screen now. It's ben@metamoji.com, Metamoji being the creator of Note Anytime. And also you can visit our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Note Anytime, or our Twitter account, which is @Note Anytime. If you want to get in touch with me, one of the things I will be setting up after this event is a community area for us to discuss better ways of using Note Anytime within education, both from a student's perspective as well as a teacher, instructor perspective. So this will be a good way of you getting your feedback in, and also speaking with your peers about how Note Anytime can make a difference in the classroom. Again, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a great weekend. See you next week.